Hey y'all, it's Susan with Susan's Country Living. Welcome to my channel. I'm glad you stopped by today. You can see that I have a lot of eggplant that I've harvested from the garden. I have a Black Beauty eggplant that makes these nice large eggplant, and then I have an Asian eggplant that makes the skinny ones. And what I have here is 4 pounds of eggplant. I'm going to make an eggplant spread. It's a Romanian dish called Zacusca. I hope I said it right. It has eggplant and red peppers. I also have a yellow one from the garden I'm going to put in there. Onion, salt and pepper and olive oil, and I'm going to be using tomato paste in mine. So this is the first time that I've made it. So we're gonna try it, and you spread it on bread. It's kind of like a dip, it sounds like it's really yummy. So what I've done is I've washed my eggplant. I like to just trim this top here, the calyx, but I don't have the eggplant, the inside exposed. Or you can leave that stem on. It really doesn't matter. I have olive oil. I spread some on there, just lightly oiled that. I washed and trimmed, and then I took a fork and I poked holes in the eggplant all the way around so that they don't burst in the oven. Now I need to char these to blacken the skin to get the skin off. Now you could do this over a open flame if you wanted to, but I'm going to be doing it in the oven. I have my oven preheating to 500. You could use the broiler if you wanted to. I have a convection roast setting on my oven. So we're going to roast these on one side for 30 minutes. We're going to flip them and roast them for another 30 to 40 minutes. We're also going to do the same thing with the bell peppers, but I'm going to seed them first and then put them on this tray after the eggplant have finished, or I may stick them in the toaster oven under broil. Because after the eggplant is finished and we take the skins off, they're going to have to sit and kind of drain for a while to get all those bitter juices out of there before we puree them in the food processor. So we're going to go ahead and get these in the oven and blacken the skins and get the peppers prepared and the onions, about 2 pounds of onions chopped. So I have 4 pounds of eggplant. I have 3 pounds of some really nice red bell peppers, and threw in one of my yellow ones I picked this morning. And so I have 3 pounds of that, and then I'm going to use 1 pound of onions and get that chopped up. I'll be adding 1 cup of tomato paste later on and a cup of olive oil later on in the preparation part. So we'll get these in the oven and get them charred. So it's been 30 minutes and I have flipped over the eggplant. You can see that they are really charred. These smaller ones I think are already cooked through because they're not as thick. So I'm going to go ahead and take them off and let them cool, and then I will peel the they were starting to get, like, I think a little too done. Like right here, I could see it was getting really, really tough looking. So I went ahead and took them out, let them cool, and I'm going to peel them. I'm going to stick these in. You can see that skin is really loose. This is the other side. You can see the black charring from, I don't know if that one's done. We'll go ahead and turn that one over, and we'll stick them back in the oven. Probably another, I'm going to check them in about 20, but it'll probably take another 30 minutes to finish cooking. And then over here in the toaster oven on broil, I keep turning these peppers. You can see how they're getting nicely charred there. So I just take those and move them around a little bit, turning them on the sides that haven't been charred, and turning those over there. Flip that one over. I think I'm going to switch places here and flip those there. And get it to kind of stay. There we go. Okay. I'm going to put those back in and let them continue to broil. And then I had some in the freezer that I have here, and I'm going to stick those in to char the skin on them, letting them thaw out a little bit. So we'll let those continue, and we'll put our eggplant back in the oven for, check them in 20 minutes, probably another 30 minutes. Okay, so I've taken these out of the oven and they are really black and charred, and I'm going to let them cool off a little bit. The smaller ones I have already peeled the outside off, and I just have them sitting in a colander to let any liquid drain off from that. So I'll be peeling these in just a little bit. Okay, so here are the peppers. Taking them out, you can see they're nicely charred. And I'm going to take the bottom part of this foil that I had the eggplant on, and we're going to cover these and just let them steam while I have those other little pieces in the toaster oven under the broiler, and this is going to help those skins come loose. And just let those sit there and cool while I get the onions chopped up. So now we're going to chop up our onion, and I'm going to use a food processor to chop that up. And I have my eggplant. I've peeled all of the black chard peeling off, and it's in a colander draining to let any of the juices come off. So we're going to go ahead and get these onions chopped. Just going to kind of chunk this up. The recipe said to puree the vegetables in the food processor. I'm not going to puree the onion. I'm going to leave, you know, little pieces of onion. So I'll just chunk it up. My igniter is stuck on. That's what you hear in the background. So we're just going to pulse this. A little bit more. So that's about the way that I want it. And what I have over here in my pot is 1 cup of olive oil, and I'm using a wide pot. You could also use a deep, big skillet, not a cast iron, because we're going to be adding tomatoes, which is acidic, and that doesn't, you know, I don't want to use anything acidic in my cast iron. So I'm using just a stainless steel pot that's wide, you know, it's bigger and not as deep. And we're going to put the onions in there and saute them until they are translucent. Put these in. And okay, so my onions are translucent, I have peeled the skin off the peppers, and I'm going to give them a kind of a rough chop here in the food processor. Still see, you know, chunks of the peppers pretty good. They're a little bigger, so I'm going to give it a little more. All right. There's quite a bit of oil in there still. And we're going to add our lovely red peppers here. Eggplant. Quite a bit of juice drained off of it. That's what I wanted. So this is more pureed because of the softness of the eggplants. Add it to our pot here. That mixed up here. And we're going to get our tomato paste added and our seasonings. And we're going to let it cook. It's going to cook for a long time. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt to start with. Oh, a fourth to a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and we'll start with maybe that much. Grab some bay leaves. Have a cup of tomato paste. We're going to add that. Some people use pureed tomatoes, tomato juice, tomato sauce. It just depends on the recipe. I'm kind of combining two recipes. I'm going to use tomato paste, and we're going to mix that in. What I did is I put this on a diffuser because this is going to cook on top of the stove for about an hour, and I'll be stirring it quite a bit, and then it's going to go in the oven on 350. And it's going to cook in the oven, and then when the there's a piece of eggplant skin. When the oil has floated to the top, then it's ready to jar up. And we will be canning this. I just thought I saw another piece. That's okay, I'll catch it. We'll be canning this. There it is. There's another piece of skin. Water bath canning. It is acidic because of the tomatoes. Grab a couple of them and we'll do about 3 of them, and I'm just going to kind of poke them down in there so that as we stir this, just simmering. After about an hour, we'll stick it in the oven. Okay, so after it cooked for about an hour on the stove, we put it in a 350-degree oven. It's been there about an hour and a half. And about every 30 minutes, I've been checking on it. And we'll take a look here. You can see that it's bubbling, and give it a stir, and then the oil will come up to the top here. I'm going to give it about 20, almost 30 minutes more, and it'll be time to jar it up. It's getting thicker, caramelizing. You can see a lot of caramelization going around here on the edge. That's not going to go into the jar, but that's what's happening. Those sugars are caramelizing, and it's getting thicker. Water's evaporating, so we just need a little more time, and it'll be done in about a little less than 30 minutes. All right, we're going to go ahead and can this up. I had my jars in my steam canner. They're hot. I'm going to pull a couple out. The others in there. We're going to just do a couple at a time. I'm going to fill these to 1 inch head space here, which be about where that curves in right there. So we're going to use a canning funnel. Thought these would be pretty. Kind of tap that down. That's a 1 inch headspace right there. I found all 3 of the bay leaves and got them removed. And now I'm ready to clean the rims of the jars. And I'm using some white vinegar. Just put in a little dish and dip my paper towel in. Because there's oil in the spread, we want to make sure there's no oil on the rim of that jar. So the vinegar is going to help with that. My jar lids in some hot water. My lids on. And put our rings on. Just finger tight. Here to the steam canner. Got my water boiling. Up. I'm going to watch my dial on top. When it gets to the right marking and the right zone, I'll start my timer for 20 minutes. So we have our finished Zacusca right there, which is an eggplant pepper spread for bread or something like that. That's what it looks like. So it may separate. The oil may float to the top, and just stir that back in. They did seal after 20 minutes, so we'll see how they do on the shelf. I tasted it, and it is really delicious. So thanks for stopping by my channel. that this turned out really, really well today. If you have a lot of eggplant and want to make something different, I'm going to give these as as gifts in those cute little jars. And that's nice for a party. You just open it up and lay it on your bread tray, and you have a nice little appetizer, kind of like a bruschetta. You could use some baguette bread or some really nice crusty French bread or a crusty sourdough. But thanks for stopping by my channel today. And if you find yourself with a lot of eggplant, make you some Zacusca. I'll put the instructions, the recipe down in the description. Bye, y'all.